Hi there friends, if you're new to my channel, my name's Nicole and I'm here today to talk to you about pantomime. So pantomime, or Panto as it's known here in the UK, is a really popular British Christmas tradition around theatre. And I've had a lot of questions lately because it really doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. So I thought that I would do a little video and a blog post as well to kind of explain what Panto is. I didn't do that much research, but I will put the links to the websites that I used down below in the description box so that you can look at them if you'd like to. I also did attend my first ever Panto last week, so I can talk a little bit about what I saw there. Alright, I have my notes here. So pantomime, if you're American, you might think that it means like miming and that kind of thing, but it's not. It's typically referred to here as Panto, and it's a Christmas tradition in the UK. It's kind of family musical comedy. A lot of people kind of cite it as most children's first exposure to theater. So I guess in the same way that a lot of American children, the first thing they might see would be like the Nutcracker Ballet, as far as like a big arts production. This is what most British children see first. It combines slapstick, song, dance, other like physical humor, and typically a lot of gender bending, but I'll get into a bit later what exactly is in a panto, but it basically only happens in the UK. Apparently, it's a thing in some parts of Canada, and it used to be a thing in Australia, like pre-21st century, like I think back in like I want to say the late 1800s, early 1900s from what I read. And there are things similar to it in the US, but they've never really taken off. The best comparison would be like some productions of Peter Pan kind of get close to pantomime, but they're not the kind of panto phenomenon that is a thing here. I'm not positive that I'm saying this right, but it comes from the Italian tradition of commedia dell'arte, but also from the British 17th and 18th century traditions of masks and music halls, which is kind of very different from what we think of as theater today. They used to happen seasonally, so not just at Christmas, but you also would have like Easter panto and summer panto. But now in the 21st century, basically all that you see is panto at Christmas time. Now that I've talked a little bit about history of it before I ever told you what is a panto? So basically they are almost always fairy tales. So you typically see like Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty. There's a few other, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but traditional fairy tales that are retold on stage. And there's certain things that a show has to have in it to be considered a panto, but they're meant to be kind of good fun both for children and for adults. So they always have some sort of drag or gender bending. A lot of times the hero will be played by a woman. So like in productions of Aladdin, typically Aladdin is played by a woman. But there also has to be a panto dame, which is a man in drag. So, for example, in Cinderella, almost always the ugly stepsisters are played by men. There also is a lot of audience interaction, so there's a lot of like call and answer between the audience and the characters. The characters will ask the audience questions, like, is there someone behind me, is typically a running gag. A lot of times they'll throw candy out into the audience. I'm trying to think what else. They typically end up bringing someone up onto stage. So like I saw a Cinderella panto last week and the ugly stepsisters brought up a man from the audience. So it's quite different from theater in that there's basically no fourth wall, which I think if you're not raised in the tradition of it can be a bit jarring to get used to. You know, for a character to come out and be like, hi guys, and everyone's like, hi. Back to them, but I can see why it's so appealing to children. The villains are typically very like, what I would call camp, very outrageous, very out there, typically dressed fairly outrageously, but they always have happy endings where the villain is redeemed. So, you know, the villain apologizes, they kind of make up. There also is a lot of double entendre that's kind of meant for the adults to find funny and to go over the children's heads. Typically a lot of that centers around the panto dame, so the men in drag, doing kind of double entendre stuff. And as far as the music goes, there's typically a lot of different styles, but a lot of them will have both original music and kind of like covers of popular songs, sometimes with the words rewritten, sometimes with them normally. One of the funniest things to me is that there's almost always like an animal that is in like a people in a big costume, typically a horse or a cow. So like the one that I saw had a horse, which to me made it feel a little bit juvenile, but like obviously that's just part of panto, so if you were used to it, you wouldn't question it. Now the funniest thing to me about it is that traditionally the villain always enters from stage left and the hero from stage right, so like to be considered a proper panto. I think that's meant to occur. And it goes back to some really early tradition in which like stage left represented hell and stage right was heaven, back centuries ago, supposedly. I don't know, I just thought that was one of the really interesting ones. So I did see my first Panto last week. I saw the Hackney Empire Cinderella, which I was reviewing for BroadwayWorld.com, and I will put the link to that down below in the description box. But it was really good fun. I went with my friend Patricia, who is from Vienna, and so she'd never seen any Panto either, because like I said, it's really only a thing here in Britain. And we both really enjoyed it. Like, it's a bit jarring to get used to if you're not used to it. But once you kind of get into it, like by 20 minutes in, I was super into it. I was like yelling back with the rest of the audience, and I think it's really good fun, and like it really puts you into a festive Christmas mood. Alright, so that's my little brief video about Panto. I'm sure I am not the best person to explain this, but sometimes I actually like seeing people who aren't from a country explain that country's traditions, because they like have more of the same outsider's view on it. But if you are British or if you have experience with Panto, please leave stuff that I left out in the comments below, because I would love to hear from you. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really makes my day and also helps me out. There's something with the YouTube algorithm that like videos that get thumbs up get shown to more people, like on the recommended thing. And also subscribe to my channel, because I have a lot of Christmas content coming, as well as more theater content, so you won't want to miss that. As always, I will leave the links to all of my social media and my blogs down in the description box, so be sure to check that out and come chat with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye! Soon you will be Lady Glide, you'll have a perfect life as that fine man's wife. He's a man of compassion. Look how he helped that poor girl. He has integrity. He's all a man should be.